Hi, I'm Marlon. Thank you for joining us for today for our Hub Highlights Artist Spotlight. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. It's a really snowy, weird morning weather, but it's really nice outside. The sun is shining, which is good. So before I get into my questions, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and your practice?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a photographer and a videographer, or filmmaker, whatever sounds better. I've been doing it for about 4 years now. So I like to go out and shoot beautiful portraits of animals and nature and landscapes, as well as portraits of people as well. And then I love to make videos about certain animal subjects. So maybe I'll focus on chipmunks or deer or a certain type of bird. And I kind of put it to music and make a really interesting documentation of the lives of animals. And I also write as well. So I like to write, not poetry, but I have poetic writing, I call it. So I like to look at the world and try to break it down and really tell a story of what I see and how I interpret it. Yeah, so that's what I do.
Where is there a particular thing that you get your inspiration from? Is it like looking at the world and taking internally? What comes to mind with inspiration for you?
So yeah, I think as a photographer, it's amazing because the world is your inspiration. What you see, all you have to do is try to capture it in the most artistic way possible. And my artist statement or feeling is, the world is full of little moments of magic, and it's my job just to find it, because it only lasts for a certain amount of time. And so I have to go out, and sometimes I come across it, like I'll be walking through the woods and be like, oh wow, what is that amazing experience? Like something just came out and I have to photograph it. Or sometimes I have to plan it and be like, oh, it's snowing tomorrow, so it's gonna be looking beautiful outside. So I know a place, it's gonna be amazing, so I have to go and film that. So it's just capturing the world. When I used to cook, there was a quote that I loved. This chef, Marco White, said, Mother Nature is the true artist, and our jobs as cooks is to allow her to shine. And I took that when I did my cooking career, and then I moved into photography. I was like, that's so true. Like, Mother Nature is the true artist. All I have to do is just capture it and show it to people.
Do you like to focus on nature a lot? And how do you kind of intersect your photography pieces? But I've also seen that, like you said earlier, we were talking about before we started recording, is you have video pieces as well. Why do you like to use kind of the two mediums? So I guess it's a two-part question. Why is it set in nature, and why do you like to use both mediums?
So I use nature because it's constantly changing, so it doesn't get boring. Even if you look at the seasons, springtime, you have this growth. Summertime, you have, just like the forest just comes alive and gets claustrophobic. Everything comes together, flowers start sprouting. Fall time, it's magic, all the colors. And then winter is like death, but then it's also this beautiful blank canvas. And so I'm constantly finding things to shoot. And so that's why I use nature. And then with the two mediums, photography and videography, it's hard to sort of capture things with a picture because it has to be perfect. Because with a picture, it's the shutter is just capturing like a tenth of a second. And so everything has to look amazing, the way that the animal is, or the landscape is, the lights. And you'll only, maybe let's say I take 1,000 shots a year, I only get like 3 perfect shots. So video comes into play because it's just easier to film with video. Like I don't have to constantly go through I missed it. Whereas video, if I see something, I can capture it. And it's a little bit more engaging to an audience when you see something moving. It brings you closer. And then I feel like with video, you also have the music and the sound elements. So you can really get the ambiance of where I am, the sound of the forest, the sound of the birds, the sound of the wind. and then you can interplay music into that to really set the tone. So maybe there's an exciting part of the song, so there's an exciting part of the video, or it slows down. Mm-hmm. So I get to play with those two to really capture what I see in my mind and then put it in front of somebody else.
I love that. So it's like very experimental. You kind of have a little bit more freedom. So
yeah,
it's very interesting. So, I mean, when you look at your pieces, is there any like favorite pieces that you've created recently, either video or photography pieces?
Yeah, so the most recent video that I've finished was something called Autumn Winds. I don't know why I titled it Autumn Winds. It's a poem. And like, I thought about it the other day. I'm like, that doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. But it was over the span of about a month and a half. I went to almost everywhere in Southern Ontario that I could drive to. And I just captured autumn. So the leaves changing, the animals that come out in autumn, all the colors, waterfalls, escarpments, cliff faces, misty places. Like, it was so much driving and so much capturing, but I put it together, and I was really proud of what I created with that. And then in terms of photography, I've been doing a lot of fashion photography recently because I don't know, it's a lot different than nature photography because you're working with somebody else,
right?
And and it's up to them to make it, but it's also up to you. So you're really trying to, and it's usually somebody you've never met before too. So you're like, hey, how are you? I'm gonna be shooting you today. Yeah. And you have to sort of create something immediately and use the surroundings as well. It's not just studio, which I hate studio shoots. I like to go out into the city, into the buildings. That's a nice alleyway. Let's try to create something. So I have some sets from a model that I shot. Her name is Daniela. I shot her twice, and I really like what we created together.
So, I mean, what does the future look like for you? Like, are you still like, do you have any plans for anything or exhibitions, things like that?
Yeah, so I have a photo coming out in an exhibition which is yet to be announced. But it's going to be cool in Toronto. And then other work, I have the final exhibition for this residency, and then I'm just going to keep producing. I have a winter film that I'm working on now, so I'm trying to capture this family of deer that I've been sort of following since May, since I discovered them. And I've got to see their whole progression from having like fawns to now they have the big antlers, and it's really interesting to see them throughout the seasons. And winter is super spectacular because they leave footprints behind, so you actually get to be like, oh, there was a deer here, and you just follow the footprints until you find them. And it's just, I feel like I want to call it chasing ghosts, because it literally is like you'll see them and then you'll be walking and then a tree will come in your way and then they just disappear, like they've been abducted or something. It's the strangest thing. And they're so silent too, and they're huge. So that's something that I'm working on. And then I just have some photos that I need to do for this final exhibition. I want to do some more animal portraits, some more people portraits, all kind of stuff. So every day I want to make something more, something new, something special.
I mean, we're really looking forward to seeing what you come up with and getting you all involved in Martys Hub and spotlighting you, which is the first. I'm glad we were able to take the time today. So where can people find your website and what are your social media handles?
Yeah, so my social media, I only use Instagram. So it's MarlonP_photos. And I post when I have something good. That's the thing. I hate Instagram. I don't know Instagram, but yeah. And then my website is marlonporter.com, and then I have some of my photos there. I don't have my video there. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that, but that will be in the future. But if you want to check that out, that's what it is.
Well, so like I said earlier, thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate it, and all the best with your upcoming projects.
Thank you very much.